Okay, I want to talk about compare and contrast a little bit. And to do that, I want us to use Remembering My Childhood on the Continent of Africa. So if you haven't read that yet, make sure that you do before you watch this. Remembering My Childhood on the Continent of Africa provides a nice compare and contrast between David's life growing up and Hugh's life growing up. And your book tells us that there's two different ways that you can write a compare and contrast paper. You can write it point by point, or you can write it subject by subject. And so here's some comparisons for you. When David was growing up, he had a cat and a dog as a pet, and Hugh had a monkey, which is totally freaking awesome. David's classes took field trips to Colonial Williamsburg, while Hugh's classes took field trips to a slaughterhouse. David threw rocks at stop signs, while Hugh threw rocks at alligators. David saw movies at theaters when they were new, and Hugh saw old movies projected onto a sheet outside. If you write like this, so this direction, that is writing point by point. So you could say, David did this, then Hugh did this. David did this, then Hugh did this. That's point by point. You could also write subject by subject, which is writing this direction. So you tell me everything about David, and then you tell me everything about Hugh. There are some pros and cons to both of these methods. Writing this direction, so David did this and then Hugh did this, can get a little ping-pongy, right? A little back and forth, a little jumpy. Writing this direction, though, if I tell you everything about David and then everything about Hugh, can get a little confusing for your reader because we're kind of forgetful people, right? And so we may forget that you said something about David throwing rocks at stop signs. And so when you get to Hugh throwing rocks at alligators, we're like, why did you say that? The most important thing to remember, no matter which method you choose, is that for everything you say about one, you have to say something about the other. So you see, I have more things on this side about David than I do about Hugh. I need to have a point and then a counterpoint for every single thing, right? So they all go together. So David grew up in North Carolina while Hugh grew up in Africa. I would have to add that in there too. The choice is yours as to how you want to write your paper. You can write this direction, you can write this direction. It doesn't matter. That's up to you.